Hey guys, welcome to Fantasy Effect episode 69.
Nice.
Injury, buy, and sells. Yeah. We're brought to you by Dynasty Theory in partnership with Dynasty Daddy. And as always, Fantasy Football Infinity. Please join the Dynasty Theory Discord. It is free to join. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. Holler and McSpanky are here with me tonight. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. I just spent the last night of T-ball. It was super hot out there, so I might be slightly heat exhaustion. So if I start speaking crazy, we'll just blame it on the heat, not me being dumb.
It's just a regular Wednesday night for us.
Yeah, how hot is how hot is hot out there?
It's like low 80s.
Okay.
It's
so not okay.
like
I can't complain
really
at all
hot
here in California. So it's low 70s for me. Beautiful
Oof.
sun. A little bit of June gloom, but that's okay.
We got a lot of humidity today.
Yeah, I can't complain at all. So I'll keep my mouth shut on the weather complaints.
Well, we got a little bit of news today. Justin Jefferson with a massive deal. Anybody shocked? Any shocking part of this? Like it all came in and he became the highest paid wide receiver, and I was like, "Yep, makes sense."
I think the only thing shocking was just how much guaranteed money he got. Not that he got a huge contract. Like, because I was just pulling up over the cap and their wide receiver contracts. Like his average contract value over per year, it's only like $3 million more than AJ Brown got, and $5 million more than Sun God got. That's not crazy, but his total guaranteed money at $110 million. Compared to AJ Brown at 84, Amon-Ra 77. Like that's where I think the money got a little crazy, but like he's so good. Like you can't let him walk. Like you got to give him the money. Like,
yep.
What are you gonna do?
And like that's the same thing I thought. Is 110 million. That's almost out of the 140. That's close to all fully guaranteed. Which, I mean, part of me thinks he earns that. You know, he's clearly the best wide receiver in the game. But yeah, I'm with you there. Nothing shocking there. Like Wes said, once Cousins left, all the money was for Jefferson.
The real question I have though is what does Chase get? Does he top that, or does he get like the same deal, just slightly tweaked?
And then same with CD, CD Lamb, like
and
all
CD,
those three guys. Yeah.
Cowboys got to pay him $40 a year. They keep waiting.
Yep.
They might.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think it will be around the same for those two guys. I could see, just because Dallas is so dysfunctional, I could see them not paying CD Lamb. I think at the end of the day they will, but I could see it. Jerry Jones is crazy, so
I think they're more like.
They're more likely
CD and let Jack walk than.
I agree with that. But I could just see the whole thing crumbling just because that's what happens with Jerry Jones. But I'm sure one of them will get their money in. I would put my betting on CD Lamb.
For sure.
Definitely. So I heard a thing. I believe I can't remember the exact percentage points, but Justin Jefferson's percentage that he is taking up of the cap for the Vikings is similar to what Calvin Johnson had done when he got his contract, and also Larry Fitzgerald. So while the numbers sound insane and everything, percentage wise, it's pretty in line with, what the wide receivers have been doing for years now. Really, it's just that the numbers are higher because the cap has gone up.
Yeah, well, and the cap should keep going up. Like I think I heard on a different podcast that the cap went up more than people thought it was going to this year, but supposedly next year is the year where it's supposed to really go up. So I think it's better to probably pay some of these guys now, which I think is why you've seen some of these teams, like the Lions paid like half of their really good players, and then obviously Jefferson just got his money too, and CMC, who we can kind of get into now too, he just got a huge extension too, 2-year extension, which is about $19 million a year. This one's a little wild too, just because he's getting a little older, and that's so much money. Like in comparison, Saquon is getting $12.5 million a year. So McCaffrey's getting almost $7 million more. And I know CMC's better, but is he that much better?
I think he has to be now with that money, right? I don't feel like he is that much. Well, at the end of the day, I think he is better, but not that much better. And that money that means he needs to be way above him. And so I also think this, I don't know for sure. I don't know the full numbers, but I think this kind of caps them on, signing one of Debo or Brandon Ayuk. So I think one of them is
Yeah.
definitely on their way out, which to me, I would have probably paid the younger guy, but that's me. But Christian McCaffrey's so darn good. Like he can do so many
He's a
things.
unicorn.
But I do think he is getting a little bit older. But to me, I think he's kind of an outlier.
Yeah. And I think you're able to do this
Definitely.
too, just because you have Brock Purdy on that stupid
totally
cheap rookie deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which incidentally, his deal and McCaffrey's deal is going to end right as they're going to have to pay Purdy if they're going to keep him. So probably no coincidence there. And I think Pearsall was drafted to be the replacement to whichever one they decide not to keep, whether it's Debo or Ayuk.
Agreed. It'd be interesting to see if one of them does get traded.
I think it's Ayuk. I think he's the one that's out.
Yeah, but I was just saying before the season.
I'd trade Debo.
I'm with you, Ron. I would trade Debo just because I think McCaffrey can kind of do a little bit of the same thing as Debo. And then same with
and be better at it.
Pearsall, I think can slide in, and Ayuk could be more of that. Wide receiver 1. I feel like, but
Yeah, I think Ayuk's just an actual wide receiver, and what Debo does is very super specific as to.
But I wouldn't fault anybody for saying the flip side of that, right?
I think it's just more for me. I think it's just Shanahan likes what Debo can do for his offense, and whereas Ayuk is, he's purely a receiver, where Debo can kind of do whatever Shanahan comes up with in his fever dreams at night. That's the only reason why I was thinking. I think Ayuk might be the one that's gone.
Yeah, makes sense. Totally makes sense. But I don't. We'll see. I'm hoping for Pearsall, I kind of hope one of them is traded. But if not, But if not, I think, and I don't know exact contracts, but at the end of the year, I think Pearsall will be really good his second year.
Yeah, well, Ayuk is on the last year of his deal, so he is a free agent next year. I think Debo still has another year left.
Got it. So then I think Ayuk was, with that information, I think Ayuk is probably the one to be traded.
Yeah. So Debo has his void years in 26 and 27, so he's still under contract next year. Although his cap number and his hit goes way down. He's a 15 mil pre June 1 dead cap, and then 9 million after June 1st. So he could. They could, if they wanted to pay Ayuk and get rid of Debo, they could figure it out.
Do the same, yeah. It will be interesting. One of them, though, I feel is on the way out. Either and before this season or next season.
Yeah, I think as soon as they drafted Pearsall. Yeah, I hope so. But
I do too.
I don't know. Signing CMC to that deal. You got Purdy on a rookie deal. I think they might try to say, like, hey, Ayuk, what can we do to keep you happy just for this year? Let's go win a Super Bowl, and then just whatever happens, and all chaos might break loose at the end of the year. But
yeah, definitely. Should we get any of these players coming off injuries?
Yeah, let's do it. That's what the people tuned in.
Yeah, yes, that's what everybody's here for. Like McSpanky said, our first guy up is Mr. TJ Hockenson. How you guys feeling about Hawk these days?
Yeah, so let's just do a quick recap of the injury he had on when he had it. So he had an ACL and an MCL tear, which in and of itself isn't great. And then to top that off, he had the injury was in week 16, so it was on Christmas Eve. The real thing that was a bummer, so he got surgery on his MCL kind of right away, and then he let that heal, and then he didn't get surgery on his ACL until the end of January. So looking at some kind of previous injury examples, there's a couple tight ends who tore their ACL and MCL. So Gronk did it back in 2013, and then Zach Ertz did it in 2022. Neither one of them missed any games the following season, and their production didn't really drop too much. Gronk kind of took him about a month to get going, and then he had probably one of his best seasons of his career in 2014. But both of them were about an 8-month to 9-month timeline from their from their surgery date, which if you go off of the end of January, that's going to put Hockenson kind of in that late September, early October, before he is resuming football activities, which that's where it gets concerning. I don't think it's an issue of will he be the same player. I think he will. It's more just like how much of this year is he going to miss, and I think that's probably where the conversation goes as to where if you want to buy or sell him.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree, because even once you get back to football activities, you have to get ramped back up into, game shape. And then, it's low reps for probably in games, I don't know, at least 2 games, you can probably guess that. And yeah, I would say a month for sure. I'm with you, McSpanky. I was saying the 2 games to just be generous to old Hockenson and the Vikings there, but a month wouldn't shock me at all where people are upset with what Hawkinson's doing on the field.
Yep. Right now I'm feeling he's more of a hold than a buy or sell, just because I feel like he's kind of at the lowest point right now, because people are kind of up in the air thinking, oh, maybe he will come back right away, or it's going to take time. But I agree with both of you guys. I think it's going to take some time for him to ramp back up, and when he continues, or when he comes back, I think it's going to take a couple games. And so I think maybe at that point, when he has some games that are kind of a little bit down, that could be a time to buy him. But I honestly think as well, adding in the rookie quarterback, I think it's going to take some time, and I really think he's going to lean on Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones, right? And so, not saying that Aaron Jones is a option in front of TJ Hockenson. I just think he's going to lean on Aaron Jones a little bit more, probably because it's an easier, drop the ball off to Aaron Jones versus, throwing it across the field. And I do think he's probably the second or third option, depending on the game with Addison. I think he's probably a more reliable target guy than Addison. And so I think for now, I would definitely just hold, depending, obviously, for anything roster dependent. But I just think right now it's kind of a hold, because I think, he's probably being traded at around a 25 first. But I don't think people are going to want to sell a 25 first for him, because they don't know. Like, I put him on the trade block and I got an offer for a 25 second. I declined it right away without even, working on it. Because I think that's just where some people are at, right? I was looking up trades on Dynasty Daddy, and I thought this one was kind of interesting. When I saw it at first, it was before the show, and I said it was a smash right away. But now that I think about it a little bit more, I don't know. But I think I would easily take it. Hockenson and a 26 second for McBride and the 26th fourth. Which side are you guys on?
I'll take McBride.
I think I want McBride. Just because the second isn't 26, it's like 2 years out, right? If it was a 25 second, I would probably need to think more about it. But having the second 2 years out is a little further.
Took me that's exactly what I was just thinking about. Is like, would that change at all if it was 25 second and 25 fourth? And for me, I don't think it would. I still think I'm on the McBride side. As I think him and Kyler Murray are going to have, I think McBride's going to still have a really good season, even though Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming in. I still think McBride's going to have a really good season. So like something like that, if you could get done, I would totally do that. But I don't know. I mean, if I could get a first for Hockenson, I would take it. But I don't think someone's going to give that up right now.
Do you think someone's going to, because that was my question too. Do you think anyone's going to give a first? I think he's probably valued kind of like a middle-ish 25 first. But I don't think teams that are kind of on the fringe there are going to want to feel confident about giving up their first round pick for a player who might not be, you're not be feeling good putting your lineup until close to Thanksgiving. At that point you could be, out of the playoffs. And then now you don't have your first. So I don't know. Maybe a contender, but at the same time too, if you want to wait till he gets closer to coming back, then it's like his value is going to go back up to closer to where it was before, and then I want more than just a first. So like,
sure.
And maybe like say if you're on the buying side, I think maybe he comes back right the first couple of games. He's ramping up. I wouldn't say mediocre, but ramping up, and then maybe that's a time that you could buy on the dip a little bit, right? Then you could really get that 25, or you can buy him for a 25 first, and then you already know. Like, I know it's still hard to tell in a couple games in if you're going to be I think you kind of know if you're going to be a contender, but things could happen. Obviously, injuries can happen and whatever. But I think at that point is a time maybe, he returns slowly and he can kind of buy on the dip a little bit. But as of right now, I feel confident in just saying like I would hold on to Hockenson.
Yeah, I had a trade idea. I wanted to run it by you guys. So let's say you have TJ Hockenson and you want to send your 25 third, and in return you want to get Evan Ingram or Jake Ferguson, whoever tickles your fancy more, plus their 25 second. What would you say to that?
I'll take Fergie in the second, man. I have a love for Jake Ferguson. I think Dak loves tight ends. I think Dallas loves tight ends. It was Jason Witten for the past 20 years. Now Jake Ferguson. It's not really 20 years. Don't fact check that.
20 years might be generous. Yes. Where you're coming from?
It felt like 20 years, but I just think Ferguson's just good at football, man. You can watch him out there and you can watch him play. He's unafraid to go over the middle. He'll take a shot, right to the face and get right back up and continue on and catch another pass right after that. And, I just think the dude is a player. So give me Ferguson plus the second for sure. I think you can get equal to better production from Ferguson.
Do you think that gets done?
I think it depends
I would think
it probably really depends on what the owner thinks of Ferguson. That's where my head was at. Like I'm thinking, I don't know if that's enough for me to move Ferguson, but I think it would. I think I would. I think it could get done. Maybe somebody is like on the other side. They get, I don't know if Ferguson's the tight end, tight end one or the one to be in Dallas. Maybe they're a little worried about Dak or something. And so I think that can get done. I don't think it would get done for Ingram though. I know Ingram had a really good season.
Sure,
yeah. I know Ingram had a really good season last year, but I don't know. I don't think it's enough for Ingram. And
he can't shake the giant stench off of him. Like he's still Evan Ingram dropping passes. Like to me, I don't care how many fantasy points he scores. Like in my head, like you're still just like dropping passes. I can't get past it. But I think the Ferguson one would definitely take Hawk being on a competitor and then going to a rebuilding team for that Ferguson plus second for Hawk and a third swap.
Okay, so you're saying Hockenson would be the rebuilding team, and they consider so it's like an early third, late two swap.
Hawk would be on a contender.
Gotcha.
And that contender wants to get the tight end points.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying.
Okay.
And just get the healthy tight end at this point in time, and you don't have a second for yourself.
It's definitely like a thinker. I think like it would. Just that one I think just depends on the owner. But to me, it's a really good offer if you have the Hawk.
I'm just scared to move off of TJ Hockenson just and selling what is probably lower than his value should be, just because when he comes back, and he is going to come back, like he's probably going to be the same guy. But my only and then my other thought that I just had was, Kirk Cousins has made a lot of tight ends, right? There was Hockenson, obviously Minnesota. There was Jordan Reed back in Washington. Like he's kind of been the tight end whisperer. Does JJ McCarthy do the same thing? Was it a product of the offense and Cousins, or is it more just that Cousins likes tight ends? Because I don't know. What if Hawkins is more just like a middling tight end now with Kirk Cousins not there?
I have no numbers to back this up, but what I do know that they do at Michigan, what I do know that Jim Harbaugh does in his offenses is they use the tight end. So I would guess that JJ McCarthy's pretty at least comfortable going to the tight end position and the routes that TJ Hockenson would be running for them.
I've done some Debbie, so I do know Colston Loveland is good, and so he was being used, right? And so I think at the end of the day, I feel like Hawkinson's going to be that same guy, but that was part of my, my little hiccup is I think why I want to hold him or more leaning towards sell is just because I don't exactly know what he's going to look like with JJ McCarthy as his quarterback.
Yeah. The McCarthy part might be scarier than the actual injury recovery part because we truly have no idea.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to be good, but I don't know. Like, is he going to be able? Justin Jefferson's going to get his right. So we know that. The real question is Addison or Hockenson going to take a dip in production? Because Cousins supported all three. I don't know if
Aaron Jones is there too,
especially as a rookie. Yeah, well, I know, and he's going to get kind of probably schemed in and a lot of drop off. So like he's going to get his fair share too. So I feel like Addison or Hockenson is going to get kind of a down year in production from what we think should happen, and it's just who do you think is it going to be?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Should we move on to Mandrews here?
Probably. Let's do it.
Okay. Mark Andrews with an ankle injury and a broken fibula, week 11. Oh, that was my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, that's mine.
Right.
Hey,
this is a terrible time to bring up this.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. Your son and I share a birthday. Oh my goodness. Right. I was betting on that for so long.
Yeah.
Currently he's tight end 6.
Bittersweet moment. we got birthdays and injuries.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a bittersweet day, that's for sure. Big Spanky's got injury comps in here as Randall Cobb with a fractured fibula in 2014, and then he had his best season of his career.
It's the new fibula
season. Is that
the following season? So he didn't miss any games. He had 106 catches, 1,465 yards, and 13 touchdowns that next year. So arguably his best career season. It's hard to say. So I mean, it's not a perfect comp, right? Because one's a wide receiver, one's a tight end.
Sure.
Arguably, there weren't a ton of just broken fibula injuries. Granted, we had 2 this year with Andrews and then Tank Dell. So the comps are a little wonky. What I will say, Andrews is back on the field for OTAs. So I don't think this is going to be one of those things where there's like a lingering injury. I think it's a bone, right? So like once you're healed, you're healed. You're good to go.
Right.
So I don't think there's going to be a performance dip. The real thing here, so his current value is tight end 6th, about 42nd overall. So what is that, like in the 4th round of a dynasty startup? And that's where like the value, I think it might be a little suppressed from where it should be based on, because I think people were just thinking like, oh, last year, he let me down. He has been injured a few times, or Lamar's been hurt and his numbers have gone down. And so there's been some injuries there where maybe his production doesn't match what people think. There's a lot of excitement about some of the young tight ends. I mean, Dalton Kincaid, Laporta, McBride, all ahead of him, probably rightfully so. But what do you guys think? Is he a buy or sell for you guys?
So he's a buy for me, especially on my contending teams. He's not a player that you're going to go out and get on a rebuilding team. So,
no.
But to me, he is a points machine when he's on the field, right? He gets a lot of points. There are some games that that's just the Ravens and they run the ball a lot. So there's times that, but to me, he's Lamar's favorite target in the red zone, right? And so I think that's going to be back to the same thing. And to me, he overall, I know he's tight end 6, but I think I can see him up there, tight end 4 or 5, right? And so I'd definitely sell my 25 first. I don't think that's enough. I might even take sell my first and second if I really feel confident about my team. And then kind of using Ferguson and Ingram, I'd probably do even just Ferguson and a second. I don't know if that's too much, but I would do that and feel good about it because I do have a little bit of a love for Mark Andrews. I had him in redrafts quite a bit, and I helped me win a couple of times, and so I just have a love for Mark Andrews. But I just think with the Ravens, I just feel like he's like Lamar's kind of security blanket in the red zone. And outside of Zay Flowers, I don't feel like they have many pass catchers. And so
you're not buying into the Rashad Bateman hype train?
Definitely not.
Not boarding the train? What about Devontae Walker? Do you think he will take a massive target share?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm just giving you a hard time. Might take a massive dump.
Yeah, right. So outside of Flowers, they don't have
next
pass
level
catchers
tonight, dude.
One trade I saw on Dynasty Daddy, which is actually kind of funny because Ron, you were talking about this in our Discord. Mark Andrews
dear.
for Jalen Waddle and a fourth.
Oh,
Right. So I think you did it straight up, right?
was that my trade? There might have been some picks involved. Let me go find out.
Okay. Find that. I mean, that would be
still
kind of cool.
I still don't like that, by the way.
Yeah, I don't either.
Listen,
Also, I don't.
I know you guys hated on it terribly.
I don't know if it's like I don't really love Jalen
Mitch
Waddle.
agreed. That's all I need.
Or
well, you and Mitch can both be wrong.
But I like
Mitch is never wrong.
a
Mitch
ton.
is never wrong. Ask.
Especially
Sorry,
like
go ahead, Hal.
obviously I don't know the teams or whatever, but I like this trade a lot. You know, I would move off of Waddle for Mark Andrews pretty much every day of the week.
Yeah, if I could go from Waddle to Andrews, I will.
Yeah.
I know, Ron, you did the reverse of it, and just I don't want to harp on it because I've made trades that are questionable.
There was a fourth and fifth involved in there.
Okay.
Well, that
not that those matter, but
I was gonna say that's just two guys you're gonna drop in about 3 years after they expire from your taxi squad. So
maybe one.
So
one could be Puka.
Has them about 1,000 points apart on his new trade tiers, which is really a really cool tool. JB built the trade calculator, and it's a Patreon exclusive, so definitely check it out if you haven't. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, Jalen
I'm
Waddle.
not just saying that because I helped with some of the back end stuff, but it really is cool. Now to your question about Mark Andrews holler, I think Ferguson in the second for Andrews is probably about spot on.
Cool.
And anywhere I have Ferguson and I feel good about my team, I would probably give that a go and just see where that gets you. The idea I had was a 25 first and a third. I don't quite want to give up a first and a second for Andrews.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, I might do it like if I need the points, but I would like to try to get something back, even if it's small on the Andrews side. I just don't like giving up quite that much for a player who, I mean, Andrews, he's only 28, but he's still, I mean, I don't know. That's a lot to give up for
I mean, not Kelsey's like one of the only tight ends that I know has been year in, year out, and he's starting to fade a little bit, but like tight ends as they get a little bit older, they're not quite as good. So I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I understand why you guys don't like the Waddle one, but like I was telling you guys in the chat, like the roster is just complete absolute trash. And start 3 wide receivers. My best starting wide receiver was J-Mo, and we all know how much I love J-Mo. But before that trade, like I wasn't going anywhere with this roster. I don't know.
So I understand that. I think that the only like flaw I have in that logic is if it's a bad roster and you trade and lose value, you still have a bad roster, right? Like you didn't.
Yeah, but I'm shedding points, and I understand what you're saying there. Okay. But eventually, Tyreek's going to retire. And those it'll go to Waddle. Waddle's still super good at football. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he is. And he's got a cool celebration when he scores, so that's always fun.
Yeah. I love Jalen Waddle. So
that could be it too.
My idea with him is to hopefully break Waddle down. It hasn't gone well so far. Nobody wants to pay me anything for Waddle. They want him for pennies.
The Dolphins will pay you for Waddle. Yeah. They give him a lot of money.
Yeah. The Dolphins fans won't pay me for Waddle.
Well,
crazy.
That's fair. Yeah.
Suckers. All right. Should we move on to Tank Dell?
Yeah, probably.
Whoa, I'm seeing double here. Injury comp.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I'm kidding.
Randall Cobb.
So he also broke his fibula, which incidentally said Randall Cobb.
Watch out.
Injury
he got shot, too. Don't forget, he was shot this offseason.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
That's crazy. Yeah.
He was.
Or he was at least in the restaurant. Did he get shot, too? Or
I think he got shot.
I think he got shot. I think he was shot. Yeah.
Stay out of Texas.
Yeah, Brian Robinson, he got shot as well and had a really good season.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Tank Dell, wheels up, baby.
Anyways.
13 touchdowns. Can't wait.
So Tank Dell got hurt week 13. That was early December. He's already back at OTS. He's running. He looks fine. He's wide receiver 22, 52nd overall at 6th round in a dynasty startup. For me, I think he is a really good buy. I looked at the splits last year when him and Nico Collins are both on the field together. They played 9 games together. their points per game, Nico Collins had a slight edge at 16.44 points per game. Tank had 16.32 points per game. Like their targets were 67 to 60 in favor of Nico, 48 receptions to 41 in favor of Nico, and then 5 touchdowns for Nico and 6 for Tank Dell. So almost identical stat lines. Tank is a little bit cheaper. He's also a little bit younger. I think he's a better talent. That's who I'd rather have. And where he's kind of valued right now, he's in kind of like a tier of guys with like Kenneth Walker, T. Higgins, Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix, Josh Jacobs, David Njoku, Travis Kelce, Brian Thomas Jr. Give me Tank over all those guys. And I'm not going to think twice about it.
Thank goodness. Yep. I was just doing the Ron thing and not reading this correctly because I was like, man, I'll take Tank over all these dudes except for maybe Kenneth Walker, and that's probably
the one I had to hesitate.
That's just because I love Kenneth Walker,
So you guys know I love Nico Collins, but I knew it was this it was close, but I didn't know it was this close with targets and receptions and everything, right? And so to me, that's impressive. And I think the biggest difference for me is just like you said, where Tank is going versus where Nico is going. Everyone thinks Nico is going to be the one, like the wide receiver 1, but to me, I think it's more of a wide receiver 1A and 1B, right? Some weeks it's going to be, I don't think so. I don't think Diggs to me Diggs is clearly the third in line. I know obviously he doesn't want to be, but I think he will be. Just because I think he's lost a step a little bit. But I think to me it's going to be like a 1A, 1B situation depending on the coverage, right? So depending on if the team has 2 really good cornerbacks or not. So I just think it's going to be week in and week out. We don't exactly know who's going to be the better point scorer. I think Tank could have outscored Nico if he didn't get injured. And so to me, where Tank Dell is at, he's a buy. And he's also a guy that I haven't successfully been able to get him, but I've been like, I kind of want to get him in the 4th or 5th round. A lot of, like the last 2 startups I've been in the back end, so like 111 and 112. And so I just think that is like a perfect spot for him. And Nico's been going early 4th, even sometimes in the beginning of the end of the 3rd. And so this is a really interesting trade I saw on Dynasty Daddy. Tank Dell and Dalton Kincaid for Brandon Ayuk and TJ Hockenson.
Oh, give me the Tank Dell side.
Pretty
easily.
Yeah,
I think so too.
That's where I'm at. I think it's a little bit of a downgrade at wide receiver, but not much. And then I'll take. I don't think too much at all, but I just think kind of if you look at where Ayuk versus Tank Dell is in the JB's tiers, just a little bit, but not much at all. And I think that the upgrade from Hockenson to Dalton Kincaid is greatly is good, and so I'll take that side.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can say the same things about Ayuk in the 49ers offense versus Tank Dell in
that's a good
in Houston.
comparison.
I really think they could run into similar issues and both be very good players too. You can have a little bit of a disappearing act.
Yep.
So from time to time.
I ran a couple quick numbers. Tank actually had more points per game than Ayuk did last year.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's necessarily it might be more of a perceived thing where it's a downgrade just because.
Yeah. No, I think.
Injury, the insertion of Diggs, Nico gets paid as Tank Dell. Honestly, it's been kind of quiet on really the Tank Dell front or like any sort of hype for Tank Dell, really. I mean, we've seen like him running, but like nobody's like, oh man, we got to get out, get out here, get Tank, get out here, get Tank. I don't know if I just have my head in the sand to Tank Dell stuff, but I just feel like I don't see him talked about all that much.
I pulled up something on Twitter. It says he's crushing drills, looking healthy at OTAs, catching TDs,
crushing it.
Best shape of his life, perchance.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Who's out there writing those tweets, Ron?
Go out and buy Tank Dell.
Dude. in terms of picks, what do you guys feel comfortable giving up for Tank Dell? If you were just going to just say like one pick straight up, where do you think he's? And I asked that not knowing myself.
I don't know if a 20. I don't know if a 25 first gets it done. Let's see what he's at in the tiers over here with. Yeah, I think
it.
So a playoff 25 first is equivalent.
I think it's about right.
Like, yeah, I would definitely do it. I just don't know if it gets done. Well, probably gets done in JB's tiers. It's like two wide receivers above. He's in the next next
he's
tiers.
in between random 25 and playoff 25 first.
The other question I want to ask, so more geared towards Holler, just because you're more into the Debbie stuff. Like looking at next year's wide receivers, I know there's some really good ones at the top. Thinking about the 25, like late first, kind of who do we see in there? And do we think this time next year Tank Dell would still be valued the same way, or would we rather have some of those incoming wide receiver rookies?
That's tough. I think I would rather have Tank Dell, as I know what he's going to get me. I think it also will depend a lot on how many running backs, because I do know the 25 running backs are a bit better.
Yeah,
there's probably 4 or 5 of them, and some more can actually probably pop and be a little bit better. I do know those first couple wide receivers I think will be the ones that'll go, and then obviously you'll throw in. I'm not going to say more than 2 quarterbacks, because these quarterbacks in 25 are trash.
Yeah.
But so I think it will at the end of the day depend on the running backs. But give me Tank Dell over, anybody outside of the top 3 wide receivers, maybe even just 2.
Same. Okay. I just was just
Tank
thinking
Dell
about
or Tetra Hexagon.
Tet for sure. Tet.
Yeah.
Tet McMillan for sure.
Yeah.
They're like,
man, that dude's name is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how after Tet. I don't know
first name,
how to pronounce it. To me, it's just Tet McMillan.
Yeah, you just go by Tet, and you just don't worry about it.
And then Luther Burden. So after Luther Burden, I mean, there's quite a few guys, but I like there's still question marks. So I feel more like I would feel more comfortable with Tank Dell. I know exactly what he's going to give me.
Same. Yeah. All right.
Just missed Christian Kirk. Core muscle injury, ab and his groin.
Yeah, he got like a weird injury designation where it was like he had got something called like core muscle surgery done to him. There's not really a ton of like injury comps for that, unfortunately. It happened week 13, kind of early December. But what I will say, he is back at OTAs. I saw him making like a sick one-handed catch, so he looks like he's ready to roll. He's currently valued, and we talked about this a little bit last week, so we don't need to talk about it too much. But valued at wide receiver 39, 102nd overall. That's down the 9th round of a startup. This feels like, to quote NSYNC, it's bye. Like, let's give me all the Christian Kirk, man. Like, he's only 27, and it feels like he's been left for dead, and for no reason. I don't really believe in Brian Thomas Jr. to begin with. So really, it's Ingram and Christian Kirk out there in the offense. Man, I don't know. I'm thinking his value right now is around like an early 25 second. So my thought is, if you have a middling team that's kind of on the fringe, maybe even if your Dynasty Daddy power rankings says you're frisky, throw that second out for Christian Kirk and see if you can get her done.
Being frisky, I like it. I like Christian Kirk a lot. So I just think he is one of T-Law's favorite weapons, or favorite, favorite guys. And so like he's really, really good with the yak as well. So I think that's going to get you more points. To me, he's a solid wide receiver too. And you're getting him as your probably maybe 3rd or even 4th wide receiver down there in the 9th round. To me, there's a lot of upside with Christian Kirk. I don't hate Brian Thomas Jr. as much as you both do, but let's say he turns out to be a solid, wide receiver. I still think Christian Kirk is going to be really, really good, and he's going to get you points, especially down at wide receiver 39. Like, come on, I think that he's only, like we talked about it last week, but he's only down there because of his injuries. And so
is he only down there because of his injuries though? Because what I was going to say is like Christian Kirk is perennially undervalued.
true.
It seems like every single year, like we went back and forth with him and Ridley last year, and he was way lower than Ridley in ADP by the time summer ended. And then once again, Brian Thomas Jr. is way up above Christian Kirk, and I don't need like the injury has depressed his value even more so, but like it just makes it easier to buy him at this point.
Yeah, totally. And I think I don't think it's solely the injury, but I think that injury has dropped him probably another 10 spots for sure. Right. I think he was probably closer to 30s, maybe 28 to 30 range, and now he's all the way down at 39. It's funny you bring up Calvin Ridley. I saw a trade on Dynasty Daddy, Christian Kirk for Calvin Ridley straight up, and I would smash. To me, I'd smash Christian Kirk
easily.
Yeah, I have no confidence in Will Levis. For a second, I was like, maybe they're equal because I think Calvin Ridley is a really good football player, but I don't know what Will Levis is going to do.
Exactly. I think Calvin Ridley's in a good spot, right? But to me, I'm more of a Christian Kirk guy, right? And so the reason I say Calvin Ridley's in a good spot is just he's going to be their wide receiver 1. But at the end of the day, Will Levis is throwing him the ball, so I'm a little hesitant there.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk's their wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville too.
I
mean, I think they want Brian Thomas Jr. to be, but I don't think he's ready to do that.
Right.
I agree.
And the Doug Peterson's track record on development of wide receivers is not great.
Well, he was there in Philly when they drafted Rager over Jefferson, wasn't he?
Rager. Yep. He was
Rager,
boy. I think like the best wide receiver I can remember playing underneath Doug Peterson in Philadelphia was not drafted by them, and it was like late stage Alshon Jeffrey.
Gross.
Like the very, very the very end of his career. I can't remember another guy that Doug Peterson drafted wide receiver wise. So it's another thing that's made me kind of even more nervous about Brian Thomas Jr. It's the team that took him, the concerns people had going into it, all that stuff.
They haven't found their wide receivers in the draft, Jacksonville. I don't know that their scouting department through multiple regimes they've kind of missed. They take DJ Chark early in the second round. They've did some swing and misses. They've done pretty well signing people in free agency, for what it's worth, but their own scouting of wide receivers has not been awesome. A recent trade for Christian Kirk I saw in Dynasty Daddy. Someone sent Brandon Ayuk and a 25-second for Zay Flowers and Christian Kirk. I like that one a lot, and I really like the Flowers and Kirk side of that. But I'm not sure if that's like an anomaly or that's something that you could consistently get done.
Yeah, I like it as well a lot. Like I think I know I talked a lot about Mark Andrews, but I think Zay Flowers can have a really good year. So like I think both those two guys together is going to really help you a lot. And we already know about about Ayuk and his contract issues. So the problem here is I like Ayuk a lot as well, but I think I'm solely on the Flowers and Kirk side.
Same.
Yeah. I want to know the points per game difference between Zay and Ayuk before I but I definitely getting 2 startable players is awesome right there.
So Zay Flowers is up at tier 10.
It's about 3 points per game different, like
3 points per game difference. Yeah, man, I could you could easily take the Zay side on that one, especially as a competitor when you're not really losing much there points per game.
The other thing I'll say just real quick about Christian Kirk is I think he made Trevor Lawrence better. The stats
Christian
show Kirk
I don't know.
Got hurt. So Christian Kirk got hurt week 13, week 14, 15, 16, and 18 that Trevor Lawrence played. So like 4 games without him. Half of his season interceptions came in those 4 games. So not ideal. His yards per attempt went way down too. His season long average was like just over 7. He was at like 5.1, 6.1, 7.3, 6.5 in those 4 games without Christian Kirk. But before that, it was 8.9, 9.6, 8.2, 9.1. Like Christian Kirk is big for Trevor Lawrence. So take that for what it's worth if you're a Trevor Lawrence truther. And go buy
Trevor Lawrence truther. You need Christian Kirk on the field.
And your dynasty roster.
True.
Should we move on to the man with all the Coles cash in the world now? Mr. Kirk Cousins.
Let's go.
Introduction. So this one, I had to pull. Okay, so the amount of quarterbacks who tore their Achilles is very few. I had to pull one going back to the 90s with
93.
Dan Marino. He tore his Achilles in week 6. Dan Marino did. He came back in 94 and he made the Pro Bowl. And that was back when the Pro Bowl actually meant something. It wasn't just a joke. And he was 32 at the time of his injury. Kirk Cousins, I think he's 35. So not terribly different. And then injury timeline, it was week 8. Just before Halloween. So he's down at quarterback 22, 64th overall. It's the 6th round of a dynasty startup. So obviously you're going to need to, if you're buying Kirk Cousins, it's going to be on a contending team. But where are you guys at in terms of whether you would buy or sell Kirk Cousins?
So I would buy Kirk Cousins, and he's also a quarterback I've gotten in a few startups as well with times that I've, kind of waited on quarterback. Especially same with you, Spanky. I've seen him. You've grabbed him a few times as well. Like to me, the coaching tree from McVay overall has been very kind to quarterbacks, right? And they put up good numbers. Yes, Kirk Cousins is coming from Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson, but he's got really good weapons in Atlanta as well. He doesn't have that overall number 1 wide receiver, but he's got Drake London. He's got Kyle Pitts. Outside of Drake London, there's still question marks. But I think, Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore will be okay. But I think the bigger thing is he's going to be Bijan is going to help him a lot. And I think they're going to use Bijan a ton. I would feel comfortable sending I don't know if this gets done, but I'd feel comfortable sending a 25 second and a 25 third. I don't feel comfortable right now sending a 25 first. I think I did that one time in a before a 24. I think I sent a 24 first. That was 112. But you probably have to. So you probably have to send a 25 first in order to get Kirk Cousins, which to me is like the hard part. But if you can talk yourself into that, I think he does have QB1 upside. When they're playing a bad defense, and there's probably times that they're gonna be in a good a good game, and he probably throws for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's gonna get you good numbers. So I don't know. I think he's in a really good spot. I just, at the end of the day, have a hard time sending a 25 first for him.
My only concern with Kirk Cousins, and it's not the injury, it's that the Falcons actually have a decent offensive line, and they should have a good run game, which is something he didn't have in Minnesota. Especially last year. He was just, it was Alexander Madison who, couldn't hit water from a boat. And Cousins had to do it all, right? And so with a running game that's actually competent, does the need for Cousins passing volume go down, and does that hurt his numbers and bring those down a little bit? That's my only concern. It's not
I don't think that's what's, because I think he's efficient enough.
Yes, I think
he's gonna get it right.
If I'm selling Cousins off a rebuilder, what would you want as a plus to Cousins to get your 25 first?
Wait, so you're the rebuilder, so you're trying to get the first and you're selling Cousins. I wouldn't add anything to Cousins if you're rebuilding to get that first.
Yeah, I would just do straight up. I would like if that. I think Wes is saying because I said I don't want to send my 25 first. What would I need addition to that? And yeah, I think Gus Edwards would be nice because my team, I feel like I could use a Gus Edwards. But
if I'm just philosophically, if I'm rebuilding, I don't ever want to package more than I'm getting back, if that makes sense. I want more assets so I can take more dart throws on draft picks. So I can hopefully hit a Puka or
And I think I'm in the minority here. I think if you are contending, I think most people would send that 25 first for Kirk Cousins.
I would. I think I have recently, actually.
What do you guys think of this trade I found on Dynasty Daddy? Kirk Cousins and Saquon Barkley for Drake May. I know Spanky just
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
Drake
out.
May and a 25 first.
Oh, Cousins and Saquon. But I also hate Drake May. So you take that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good either way. To be honest, I think that's a really good.
I'm with you, Holler. I could take that on either side.
Yeah, but for me, like if you have Kirk Cousins and Saquon on your team, like your team is probably pretty. I don't know. You could be pretty bad.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily. But to me, I just feel like, Kirk, you didn't. I mean, unless you got him early when he was like, I don't know. I just feel like that was kind of weird to have those two guys on the same team. But I feel really good about getting back Drake May in a 25 first, because maybe Drake May is not great this year, but overall, I like Drake May moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Spanky.
Oh, you're fine. The other thought I had is, so what if you are trying to contend? Maybe you're a playoff team and you think you can get there, but you might need a couple extra pieces. What if you had like a T-Law or a Tua or a Dak, and you try to go down to Cousins and then pick up like a Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery kind of guy? Do you think that's asking too much, or do you think that gets done?
I think Dak.
So if you go from Dak to Cousins, and then let's just say like Mike Evans or like Godwin or whoever you liked in that group.
Yeah. Seems like a lot, but I think you could get it done. Maybe if you had like on the Dak side, you might have to throw in a third or something. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think something like T-Law and a third for Cousins and one of those guys, I think would be really, really good.
Okay. Yeah, I think you could easily probably get the Swift one done if you wanted to.
I'm a little higher on. I think I'm a little more like in step with JB on Dak Prescott. Like I think I'm a little higher on him than I have him like QB 12.
It's fine.
Sure. I usually just hope he drops really far, and that's when I take him. I just cross my fingers and hope everybody still hates him. Holler didn't in this past draft. Thanks, Holler. Gosh.
Sorry. Speaking of, you're on the clock there, Spanky.
Oh.
I was going to tell him, but I was like, man, does he want to make a pick right now? I mean, I would just be over here clicking around.
I'll wait till post pod, but should we hit Aaron Rodgers real quick?
Another old banged up guy.
Yeah.
He lasted all of 13 seconds in week 1, which
man,
it happens.
That's longer than I've ever lasted. So
but
thank you. I hope everybody stayed till the end.
That's fantastic.
It's kind of the similar conversation though to Kirk Cousins. Exact same injury happened earlier in the season, which is probably better for Rodgers. Rodgers is also older than Kirk Cousins by a few years. I don't know that how much it matters, because I feel like once you hit like 30, it's kind of you're just generally hurting all over the place anyway. I don't know, but I am not comfortable purchasing Aaron Rodgers because of who Aaron Rodgers is and the apparent power that he holds, like within the Jets organization, like that they're just going to do. Yeah. Like they're just going to do whatever makes Aaron happy and hope that it turns into wins kind of thing. And like,
so
I don't know.
My concern with Rodgers is the last 3 years he's played. So we're going to just pretend last year didn't happen. The last 3 years he's played, he's had roughly the same pass attempts. But his completion percentage has gone down every year, 70%, 68.9, 64.6. His passing yards, 49. He had 4,900, 4,300, 3,600. His yards per attempt all went down, 8.1, 7.8, 6.8. Passing touchdowns went down, 53, 37, 26.
Dang.
Like he has steadily just been getting worse. And that's something that people haven't necessarily talked about. And I know some of that was the Packers organization wasn't in a great place during those years, but like it's not like the Jets is a pillar of franchise success. So let's just even if he stays healthy, which that in and of itself is a question. His performance has gotten worse every year the last few years. It's like, is his age catching up? I know he has Garrett Wilson there. Mike Williams is there too, but it's not like like the surrounding talent's not awesome. His offensive line got better, but it's still not like good. Do we think he's even gonna, like, honestly, even if you have him on a contending roster, I would probably try to ship him out because I'm not convinced he's gonna help you that much. And how long is he gonna play? Like he has no guaranteed money on his contract next year. Like he can just say like, nah, peace out, and there's no stopping him from doing that. So
he's finally going home to San Francisco after this year, and they're gonna ship Brock Purdy and let somebody else pay him.
Well, that would be kind of interesting.
That would be silly. So for me, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I think everybody, but I would have liked to see how he did with the Jets, to see if, from that 2022 season where he was down at 26 touchdowns, to see if he got a little bit better. I wouldn't have bet on him being better. So I'm 100% with you, Spank. He's like, will he be healthy, and how much will he help you? So I just think I kind of am in the boat that he does have some solid, solid receivers. Breece Hall is good. But I'm not buying, that's for sure. And I don't know what you can sell him for. Like, I don't know.
Any second. And
so that was the trade I saw on Dynasty Daddy, 25 second for Aaron Rodgers. I would definitely do that. But if he's on my team and he's my quarterback 3, I think I just hold him and use him for a buy. Like, if he does well in the first couple games, send him then when he's got a little bit of,
Sure. I also just don't trust that coaching staff.
Yes.
Offensively. I mean, it's Nathaniel Hackett's the OC, right? And he did a wonderful job out in Denver. So, dude, I'm
with you
guys.
Like,
the things I've heard is Aaron's actually the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Hackett just gets to have the name and title, and Aaron does whatever the hell he wants to do. Which
that's not good either.
You're letting a toddler run your fucking team.
Like I'm 100% with you guys. Like I don't really think he's a quarterback that's going to help you, right? So if there's anybody in your leagues that has asked about him, go back and sell him. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I don't really think he's going to help you.
Any 2, and he's yours.
Totally, yeah.
Real quick before we get out of here, one last guy. Let's talk about Nick Chubb. So he tore his ACL, his MCL, and his meniscus in one foul swoop. That was back in middle of September.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Is your MCL different than your meniscus?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I think the MCL is your
MCL is like on it's the medial, whatever ligament.
Crucial ligament. Crucial.
Be able to tell you
medial collateral ligament.
Yeah, your meniscus is like like membrane stuff, like by your ACL. I'm pretty sure, but like your MCL is like a different, like I think it's like on the side of your knee. So his knee got all sorts of toe up. In my scientific opinion, the closest injury we have was J.K. Dobbins, who tore his ACL, LCL, which is like on the other side of your knee, not from your MCL, and his meniscus back in August 2021. He missed the first 2 weeks of 22. Then he re-injured it in week 6, missed 6 more games, and he hasn't looked the same since. And then obviously he tore his Achilles. So, I am really nervous about Nick Chubb. So J.K. Dobbins, when he got all those injuries, he was 23 at the time. Chubb's 28. Not to mention Chubb also tore his ACL, I think, on this knee when he was down at Georgia. So this is, I think, now the second time he is injured.
But how many years
knee.
Ago was that he?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And like with your meniscus, it doesn't like grow back. You have to like take stuff out and like replace it, but like kind of like a
Yeah.
transformer kind of deal. So,
hell yeah,
dude, I don't want anything to do with Nick Chubb.
Well, that's what I said as well. Yeah. So
I'll go ahead, Holler.
I was just gonna say he's also old. I think in coming off that injury. And then I don't know if you said it already, Spanky, but he came out today and said he doesn't have a timeline, like a timetable for when he's going to return. That's never looking good. So to me, it kind of a little bit leaning towards maybe a possible pup, starting on the pup. And then they have Ford, and then they brought in Foreman, right? And so I don't think they feel too confident in Nick Chubb. And so I know Ford did pretty well. Jerome Ford did pretty well when he was going in for Nick Chubb, like not great, but he was all right.
He was fine.
And so to me, there's three running backs there now. And yes, Nick Chubb is going in the 10th round of startups, but to me, I'd rather take somebody else, like a wide receiver there.
There's a really good chance that Nick Chubb has played his last like meaningful like snap for your fantasy teams.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think he's gonna be the same guy, and I want nothing. Someone else can find out if he still has juice or not, but it's not gonna be me.
Ron, tell us why we're wrong, real quick.
Just literally, I have nothing other than Nick Chubb is kind of
other than good vibes, maybe.
No, he's kind of he's Derrick Henry-ish to me, and there's such a long span between those, just in being a freaky kind of like, you've seen what Nick Chubb squats, when he is healthy, like the dude is just kind of like, he's a freak. Not. He's different. I mean, I know he's not healthy right now. I understand he got hurt, but it was such a long span, and I kind of hated the J.K. Dobbins comp, to be honest with you. Like, I understand the same injury happened and everything, but Dobbins is like career ender, like over and over and over on his injuries. And I think the gap, in between Nick Chubb and a freaking knee tear to him are a little bit different than him and Dobbins. I get why you used it, though, using it, for the recovery time. I just hate it because Dobbins is out like every single season after like 6 plays is all. Yeah. And I just, that long span between those large, knee injuries. And I know he's older and he may not come back as the same Nick Chubb, but I still think that he can be, 80% of Nick Chubb is still a pretty damn good running back.
So for
I'm
what's worth, Nick Chubb at Georgia in 2015, he tore his PCL, MCL, and LCL in his left knee. So no ACL tear, but it's the same knee he hurt this year. He did that in October. He came back and he played the very next year at Georgia, but he was significantly worse than he was the year before. And that's why he came back for senior season, where he actually was really good. So I think there's going to be a significant performance decrease, but we'll find out.
That's fair. There's probably a Nick Chubb bet coming soon, if I had to guess.
Please.
That'd be nice. Yeah. I'm on board for that. I don't know how much he plays this year. And I was just looking at JB's tiers real quick. Would you guys want Raheem Mostert or Nick Chubb?
Mostert.
Ooh. I guess Mostert.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the guy right below him, Zach Moss, we talked about, or Nick
Give
Chubb?
Me the Moss King.
Nick Chubb.
Chubb. I'll take Zach Moss. Let's help Wes real quick. Andrews, Cousins, Swift, 25 second for Herbert and Hawk. Would you send that? Seems like a lot on the Andrews and Cousins side, but maybe I'm wrong.
But you're going from Cousins up to Herbie, and then you're going from Andrews down to Hockenson. Or I guess even with Hockenson. So would you add Swift in the 25 second to get from Cousins to Herbert? I feel like that's a lot. It depends on how you feel about Hockenson, I guess. But I want the left side with Andrews, Cousins, Swift in the second.
Because I think this year Cousins and
Cousins
Herbert
are going to
could be
outproduce
pretty
Herbert.
Close. Yeah.
I know the value's different, but and I think Andrews, we just talked about it with Hockenson, probably won't be back for a while. Andrews, give me that over. And then we're giving up DeAndre Swift in 25 second just to, I guess, get better in our Dynasty
We
Daddy
think at quarterback.
value.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, like not with actual production. So I want the players in the package.
That's what she said.
He's a package guy. All right.
I got a package, people. All right, guys, let's get out of here, and
Yeah,
I'll
let's
catch you
go.
on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
See you guys.